Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
You know how it works. He carries the show.
I love the way you... What's your relationship like, without prying, I'm going to pry anyways, away from the studio? Because you tease the heck out of each other in the studio. Is it like it outside the building?
Yeah, I think, Gord and I, at the end of the day, we're not going over to each other's houses for barbecues during the summer, but at the end of the day, we do have, I think, a great deal of respect for one another. We've each been doing this, like you, Rod, for a long, long time now, and I've got a lot of respect for anybody who's stuck around our business, Rod, like yourself and like Gord, for as long as we have, because it's a very unstable business, if you know what I mean. I met Gord for the first time back in 1992, and I was a young reporter for the then Standard Broadcast News. We were the competing newswire service for all the radio stations in Canada. So I worked at Standard, and I got sent down to a bunch of Leafs games. Gord was working color on radio with the Leafs back then. He had finished up as the general manager and was working color. I was sitting next to the woman who turned out to be Gord's wife in the press box, Lisa, and we struck up a conversation. And during one of the intermissions, he said, "Oh yeah, here's my husband, Gord Stellick." And I was in awe. I was like, "This is the Gord Stellick, the former general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is the team I grew up idolizing." And so all these years, and we've kept in touch after all these years, but all these years later, we get to do a radio show together each and every morning and talk about hockey. So it's a fun existence, and he's a great guy to work with.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say all the how things have changed since then. From here, I'm going to do a podcast on the Panthers and Lightning with Bill Lindsay. We didn't even barely have the internet back then, let alone how things have changed. But anyways, I enjoy how much fun you guys have on there and enjoyed your interview with my good friend Shane Knighty today. We have a bit of a theme, Scott, and it is today, which non-playoff team, if you could only pick one, do you expect to make it this year? It feels like everybody's got a different one. Who would be yours?
Well, I think the low-hanging fruit, and I'm going to take this, Rod, I think is going to be New Jersey. I think that situation sets up really well for Sheldon Keefe to move in there. For all the criticism Sheldon Keefe took as the head coach of the Leafs, we know one problem he didn't have, Rod, and that was winning hockey games during the regular season, right?
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
They had this deal in 2005 when it launched. For $500, you could have a lifetime satellite membership. And I didn't have $500, so I kept paying monthly. I've given them thousands of dollars. I should have paid the $500 at the time.
I'm going to try extra harder tomorrow, knowing how much money you've put into SiriusXM. So we appreciate that as well. Okay, Rod?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Here's the thing about that. It's worth it. It's been worth every penny. And the thing is, this show's free. You're welcome. You're going to get your money's worth here, too. Welcome to a brand new week, everybody. On Monday, it's the RP Show. We're coming at you hot on the Game Plus television network. We love our television partners out of Toronto, Game Plus. We're on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE. And, of course, streaming here on YouTube and also Facebook today. That's been going very, very well. Let's bring the Moose in. I am in the very warm South Florida studio, and I'm loving every second of that. Moose has got fall colors on. He's in the Toronto studio, but not for long. Moose, it's exciting times for you. Let's say
it is. Yeah, very exciting. I'm excited. I'm excited to go back to the rectangle on the weekend and call the Hardy Cup, and lots moving around here. So it's a nice little fall.
We got so much going on. I'll just say this is our first day without Director Jordan, and the fact that we got on the air, I'm very pleased about. Way to go, Tuna Turner. Way to go, Producer Clark. We're off and running. The guests today are from the Montreal Alouettes. Joey Alfieri. He's their in-house reporter. Every team's got one now. The Alouettes is Joey Alfieri, and we love him. And Mark Stephen, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders, will be with us, and I love Mark too. So we got a lot of positive vibes happening today. Tuna Turner, can you hit the quick six show horn, please? And we'll get... Okay, I just, at my own peril, looked in the comments. Just hang on, everybody. Hang on. We will get to the comments. We have breaking news on this Monday. That's what's nice, Darren, about live broadcasting, not the podcast world. Podcasts are cool too, but this is live on this Monday. Breaking news from the National Football League. The New Orleans Saints fired Coach Dennis Allen today. A day after a loss at last place Carolina extended the Saints' losing streak to 7 games, their longest since 1999. Allen is 18-25 without a playoff appearance since taking over in 2022 after Sean Payton, the most successful coach in Saints history, began what turned out to be a one-season retirement from coaching. If you're not familiar with Dennis Allen, he was promoted by general manager Mickey Loomis after a successful 6-season tenure as New Orleans defensive coordinator, and a period in that time he saw his unit ranked in the top 10 in the NFL in 2020 and 2021. So I'm going to get to hockey, actually, as my first point. This is the breaking news today, but I feel, and you can chime in on this if you want, don't try to read too much into this. The Saints are a bad team. They've been missing Derek Carr for a large chunk of this losing streak. And now they did put up those eye-popping numbers at the start of the year, including a win over the Dallas Cowboys. But it doesn't make sense. You're not winning. We've lost 7 in a row. You got to go. To me, that's what this all is chalked up to.
Yeah, they had the great start. You mentioned all those possessions with scores. I think it was 15 straight possessions that they scored on. Things were rolling, but slowly, actually very quickly lately, they've been coming unraveled, and it's not good. And I think when they had that great start, the expectations were higher. So you got to make a move. They've got some players there. Some. They need more. But, this was inevitable.
Well, somebody tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, but I heard a stat on the weekend that Derek Carr, had he lost to the Panthers, which he ended up doing on Sunday, is the first NFL quarterback to lose to every single team in the NFL. That tells you, I think, a little bit about the Saints' problems, and today they fired their head coach, Dennis Allen. Now, that's the breaking news. Can you hit the quick six shown horn, please, Tuna? Are you still around?
How about that? Hot damn.
So back on track.
Let's go.
We are on national television in Canada, and that means National Hockey League. Zach Hyman's power play goal at 10:10 of the third period snapped the 2-2 tie and lifted the visiting Edmonton Oilers to a 4-2 NHL victory over the Calgary Flames Sunday night. Leon Draisaitl had a goal and 2 assists for the Oilers, who won their second straight. The Flames have lost 5 of their last 6. I believe Draisaitl scored 20 seconds into the game Sunday night. Meanwhile, the Chicago Blackhawks scored the game's first 3 goals, then coasted to a 4-2 win over the host Anaheim Ducks. Connor Bedard had 3 assists for the Blackhawks, and Matt Boldy scored it 2:12 of overtime to lift the Minnesota Wild to a 2-1 NHL victory Sunday over the visiting Toronto Maple Leafs. Those are some of the leftovers. Darren, hopefully you're hungry because we got NHL leftovers, NFL leftovers, CFL leftovers all to get to here today. Coming out of the weekend for me, Florida Panthers have won 5 in a row, including a sweep of the Dallas Stars. They had their way with the Stars in Finland in the Global Series. And whatever Bleacher Report Open Ice, I follow them on Instagram, and I think they're a good account. But this morning, Darren, they posted the playoff matchups if they started today. And I wanted to reach through my phone and strangle them. But then I'm like, post whatever you want. Post whatever you want. That's on me. But stop. Do you have any interest in what the playoff matchups are if the playoffs started today?
No, I mean, it's kind of fun to look at. We look at I think, this is a final 2-3 weeks of the regular season conversation. I don't mind looking at who the playoff teams are. This is who would be in and this is who would be out. That's fun to look at because, you get an idea of who's in a playoff spot. But matchups, they're going to change so much, I think, between now and the end of the year that I'm not into that yet.
Well, I'll be honest. You post whatever you want. I'm an idiot if I get upset by it. But for me, the greatest sports app of all time, the GOAT of sports apps, they actually call themselves that, and I agree, The Score. Remember when late in the regular season, when they put up the playoff matchups, it's like about the 1st of March, they do that. You get that, ooh, now it's here. Not the first week in November, you donkeys. So keep scrolling. Here's one for you. Just put it in park for a second before I move to the NFL. What did you think about this Jason Kelce story? I assume you were following it on the weekend. He was in, where it was at Penn State. They were doing the college game day, I think, on Saturday. And some fan referred to Jason Kelce, his brother Travis, as the F word, derogatory gay slang. And Kelce turned, grabbed the guy's phone, and mashed it. I'd love to get your take on that, but more importantly, the Rod Squad, because all of your take on this, radio listeners, streaming listeners, television listeners, viewers, because here's my thing. As a guy that, listen, I don't care whether you're Jason Kelce and you're the greatest Eagles center of all time, or if you're Rod Pedersen and you've been just on the air in Saskatchewan for 30 years and now you're on a television show. I don't care who you are. As a public person, you're a public person. And you're supposed to sit and take it. And by the way, I do. I've stopped. I used to rage against the machine and say, why do we have to take it? But you have to take it. So I kind of just don't know whether Jason Kelce should get a pass for this. If he should be, I think Serena was kind of like anybody else. You get mouthed off. You got to keep your cool, period. She's anti-Jason Kelce on this. And I'm a little bit too. It's not like she convinced me of that. I'm sure everybody saw this story. You got to keep your cool. I don't like it, but I don't make the rules. So I think Kelce was out of line. You?
This is such an interesting story. And when I first saw it, my mind went to, oh no, Jason Kelce's going to get canceled for this. And they're going to come after him. And, he's going to be in a bad spot. And everything I read and all the comments and all the tweets and all the rest were basically all supporting Jason Kelce. I was shocked. But I'm like, maybe this is a good thing because, as you said, the question comes in, why do we got to take this? Why do we got to deal with this? And it'd be great if one of these ignorant fans could basically, metaphorically, you could shove it right back in their face, right? Obviously, you don't have physical altercations with fans and all the rest. And with a public person, you are like, we are as public, I say we're not public like he is, but we're still public people with a high profile. We're held to a higher standard. So you have to deal with that if you want to be in that space. It sucks, but you have to deal with it. Now, he is such a likable person, and he has such a positive and kind brand of somebody who's always happy and always well-liked, that I think he's like the only guy who could get mad, smash this fan's phone and get away with it. And everybody's like, I wish I could do that. Everyone's like, we all wish that could happen, and he did it, and everybody's happy. But at the end of the day, you can't do it. You gotta keep your cool. So I'm kind of in the middle. I kind of am okay with Jason Kelce doing it, but it's very dangerous to crossing the line.
Carlos in Indianapolis writes in and he says, what's ESPN going to do? Their opinion on the matter is the one that counts because he was there on the college game day set.
And he's on Monday Night Football tonight, so we'll really find out tonight if he's on.
Yeah. Shy writes in and says, Rod, right, you have to take it and show professionalism. It might be hard, but professional sports figures are always in the spotlight. You said you were held to a higher standard. I'm like, I don't get why. People used to say to me, the old me, which I'm not that same person anymore, but when I was acting like an absolute donkey, they're like, you can't do that. You're the voice of the writers. I'm like, you want to see my paycheck? Where am I held to a higher standard? I make less than this guy probably. What do you mean a higher standard? I don't understand that. Why should somebody be able to insult your family, insult your mother just because you are a public figure? What? I don't understand it, but my spirit's been broken in that it's like, okay, I'll just go along with it. I'll just take it.
I accept it.
You're not allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll accept it. I don't make the rules. And for that reason, I think Jason Kelce's out of line. Like, who wouldn't want to grab some guy, like you say, and mash his face into the wall? You'd love to do that. Apparently you can't. And for that reason, I think Jason Kelce's out of line. Kevin, the medium, is tuned in, and he says the spotlight is so bright these days. I guess. Brett writes in, he says, I agree that Jason Kelce overreacted, but it's a pretty predictable reaction. The schmo who was name-calling can be an idiot all weekend, and his job is not affected. I'll never forget the night we were calling a game in Moose Jaw. This was 2004. You were probably still in high school. And this is in the old crush can. And our goalie, Dustin Slade, got kicked out of the game. I'm not going to go any further into it, but on his way off the ice, the fans were jeering him and hanging over the rails and jeering him. And he reached up and speared a fan right in the face. I'm like, yes, way to go, Slater. I thought he was provoked. You can't do that. He was suspended till the end of the series, which we ended up losing. And from that, and then they brought in the canopies for the first time. That was, thank Dustin Slade, Regina Pats, 2004. That was why. I'm like, you can't spear a fan in the face? I don't understand. Again, my spirit's been broken. I don't make the rules. Jason Kelce, you can't do that. Okay, wasn't that fun? That's got him going, Moose. I knew that it would. And we got the CFL leftovers coming up, but first, NFL leftovers from the weekend. Here's one for you. Pay attention to this. I really am loving the Yahoo daily newsletter that I get. I'm really loving it because it's different. Like, here's one thing. It's not just the scores. It's not just analysis. It's this. Is the NFL becoming too predictable? Favorites went 13-1, Darren, in week 9 and have now won 78% of the games since the start of October. New Orleans was the only favorite that lost on Sunday as the Saints suffered their 7th straight defeat in a 23-22 loss to the Panthers. The other favored teams, Baltimore, Buffalo, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Washington, Tennessee, Philadelphia, Arizona, Detroit, Minnesota, and both LA teams all came out on top. Before you answer, if you think it's too predictable, I knew the Cowboys were going to lose. I think I said that on the air on Friday, so whatever. I've said this is another thing. I'm glad Kevin the Medium's watching because people were digging at me about the Dallas Cowboys. We lost again on Sunday, and I'm like, I'm emotionally detached from the Dallas Cowboys. I still love them, but I will not allow their behavior and their actions to affect my life and my mood. And Navy Don wrote in from Ottawa, and he goes, Rod, the world would be a much better place if everybody adopted that same mentality. I don't care about everybody else. Me, I'm emotionally detached from the Dallas Cowboys. It's another topic. I don't really have a problem with the predictability, but do you? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I never really noticed, to be honest. But, if it becomes a trend every week, then yeah, the league will become boring. But the fact is, it's tough to predict. It really is. And even in some of these games that we thought would be blowouts, they were closer than we thought they would be. I think the league is still in a good spot. The entertainment value is still really great. I don't think it's a problem. But if this continues, it could be. It could be because the unpredictability of it and how anything can happen is what makes sports great. Across all leagues. Yeah,
I don't have a problem with it either. And it's the thing with college football that I've been trying for 4 years to stay out of it. And now I'm just full on getting sucked right into it. And it's like everybody knows who's going to win every week in college football. Everybody knows and nobody cares. And I kind of feel like the NFL is going to be similar to that. And by the way, just back to the Cowboys for a second. It's the poll question today. By the way, I think, who didn't see this coming? Darren, you are around me a lot. You know the Cowboys are my team. I knew this wasn't going to end well. The Daily Poll is brought to you by EMJ Marketing. Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information, emjmarketing.com. Who didn't see that? I knew that this was coming. So I've been talking about Mike McCarthy being fired forever. It's a toxic organization. You all are just figuring that out now? Jerry Jones is a narcissist. Breaking news. So Mike McCarthy is going to be fired because they got to fire somebody, and that's the poll question today. Who will be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? America's team. Bill Belichick, John Gruden, Coach Prime, or other. And I'll save you some time. Running away with it is Bill Belichick with the voters of the Rod Squad on the EMJ Marketing Daily RP Show pool. It's not going to be Mike McCarthy. I don't think he's going to last the year, even though this season I don't think can be saved. But we'll talk about that and get into all of the CFL leftovers and look ahead as well. Joey Alfieri on the way today from the Alouettes. Mark Stephen of the Stampeders. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, 99.1 FM. Streaming live on YouTube and Facebook today, and also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained, aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Brand new week on the RP Show opens today. By the way, as sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback. In a game against wrinkles, scars, and acne, it's never too late to revitalize your skin with Alaterra Naturals. Check out their website at alaterra.com. Use promo code RP20 for a 20% discount off your first order. And by the way, we can bring Moose in. He's in the Toronto studio for now. He's heading back to Sask on the weekend to broadcast the Hardy Cup Canada West Championship between the University of Regina Rams at the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. Clark, if you want, you can dig up the text line, because I have a text from that Brian from Winnipeg. You sent a photo in here. not urgent, but maybe in this segment we can pick it up. He just says, hey, Ryan from Pompano Beach here. He goes, Thad wasn't at the beach house, but Matt was. Thanks for the beach house recommendation. Top notch. Brian from Winnipeg, who's down here vacationing in South Florida, went to the beach house, took a photo with all the staff. And we love that place. They're proud sponsors of the Cats and Bolts show, and advertising works, everybody. So it's on the Alaterra text line, Clark. Oh, he's got it. Throw it. There you go. Here's Brian from Winnipeg, who's down vacationing here in South Florida, and he went to the beach house. That is mine and Serena's favorite place here in the whole, all of South Florida. Great people. And there you go, Thad. They're watching our show in Canada, and they're coming to your restaurant. Okay. Now, Moose, I told you that I opened up the text line, and there was stuff in here. I didn't want to get derailed from the opening segment. So Daryl Slade has written in, statistician for the Calgary Stampeders. Do I need to tell you, Darren, that we're very popular in Calgary? That's a fact. Daryl writes in and he says, Rod, I am not sure if you're aware. The Rough Riders have not beaten the Bombers in the West Final since 1972. But I thought it was worth mentioning. He says the Riders last beat the Bombers in 1975 and 2003. You would have been there, but that was in the semifinals. Take care, Daryl Slade, Calgary. And he wrote in just before the show, so he knew that we were going to be talking about it today. That was the game where Nate Davis infamously lifted up his leg and pretended to pee on Kahari Jones. He pretended to be a dog. You remember it? I believe that we, in 2003, as in the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, had, I think that day we had 55 yards passing, and Kenton Keith had 95 yards rushing, whatever the hell it was. It was a statistical oddity. Riders did whatever it took to win, but that was the semifinal, as Daryl pointed out. Now, why are we talking about this now? Bear with me, Darren. From semifinal Saturday in the CFL, the Saskatchewan Roughriders outscored the BC Lions 15-6 in the second half and went on to win the Western semifinal at Mosaic Stadium 28-19. Riders advanced to face the Blue Bombers in Winnipeg in the West Final this Saturday. The Lions, who are the Grey Cup hosts, were hoping to play in the championship game, but ultimately faded down the stretch, and they're done. And in the East, quarterback Chad Kelly threw for 4 touchdowns and ran for another to lead the Toronto Argos to a 58-38 win over the Ottawa Red Blacks at BMO Field. Kelly's heroics propelled the Argos to a 4th straight appearance in the Eastern Final, and they'll visit the defending Grey Cup champion Montreal Alouettes this Saturday. So, how much were you able to pay attention to the CFL playoff games on Saturday?
Yeah, quite a bit. And if it wasn't for other commitments, I would have went to Toronto to the game. I had offers to go, which was nice. But, you know, fun, high-scoring game there, and that's what you want to see, you know, back and forth for a bit. But Toronto was too much that game, and Chad Kelly played well and was good. And that's what you need. The Argos need him playing well. They need that team playing well if they want to have a shot this weekend against Montreal. But, you know, the viewer that wrote in about haven't beat them in the West Final since the 70s, you know, it sounds like there's this crazy losing streak or whatever you want to call it. And it's just like, that's because Winnipeg wasn't making the playoffs for decades, and the Riders weren't in the playoffs either. It's not like I remember all these Western Final clashes between the Riders and Blue Bombers. They just really haven't met in the finals, but Winnipeg does have the advantage for sure. They do have the edge. You know, it looked like, even though we were talking about this week available seats and not selling out Mosaic Stadium, the crowd was loud on television. I watched it. They played well, and they played good enough to win, and they're playing good in the second half, which is key. You know, I thought that game at halftime had an opportunity to go one way or the other. And in Saskatchewan's case, they made the right adjustments and looked good in that second half. So should make for a fun weekend of divisional finals.
That was the wire service story that wrote that. The Riders were in control through the whole game. I watched it from start to finish. I didn't watch the Eastern game. I've been trying to limit my sports watching activity, or at the very least take weekends off as much as I can. Riders dominated. Bob writes in, He says, 2 things that worry me as a Manitoba sports fan. 1, the Riders in the West Final, and 2, Jets attendance. We're 11-1 and over 2,000 empty seats. Hold me to this. I don't want to talk about empty seats at Canada Life Centre or Mosaic Stadium, primarily because I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I see everybody going off in Saskatchewan about the empty seats, and I have seen this talk after the Jets beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 7-4 on Sunday, all the empty seats at Canada Life Centre. Remember what I said last year? Everybody got all pissed off and came after me. It's exhausting. I had that talk. I came home from the show on Friday. I said to Serena, I'm done. I don't want to argue with people. I don't want to. It's too exhausting. It's too draining. So you can bring it up in the comments section, but I don't have time for it. Take it up with the teams, not me. Brent from Wellington, Florida, which as I read his comment, Darren, that'll give you time to pick, if you have handy, the package that he sent you. Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in and he says, Jason Kelsey, we were talking earlier about him grabbing the fan's phone and mashing it because he called his brother a F word. Jason Kelsey, good on you. I'd do the same thing and accept the consequences. How about the donkey that shouted the ignorant comment? You just keep on jumping out of skyboxes drunk in a snowstorm, buddy. He's talking about Jason Kelsey. Well, Brent, here's the thing. You're not his boss. You're not his boss. Like, what if one of your employer, Brent, by the way, one of the top meat and fish distributors in the Caribbean, the cruise ships, restaurants, and resorts. That's Brent from Wellington, Florida. What if one of your employees grabbed somebody's phone and mashed it? Because that's what ESPN's looking at. I don't know. It's like I said, I don't agree with it. I've wanted to drill 1 million fans. I guess you can't. Do you have Brent's package?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do?
I do. So there's the cheese head.
Oh, that's where that came from. I wondered.
That's the cheese head. So you put that on, right? The cheese head. Don't want to mess up the hair too much. And nice little shirt. So I promised that I'll wear this. I'll wear this on U.S. Thanksgiving because the Packers play on U.S. Thanksgiving. So it'll be on then.
How about that? I was with Brent yesterday. I was with him yesterday. And his gal Bree, and there was some Saskatchewan folks there. We had a little party in Wellington, Florida. And Brent asked me if you'd received his package. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not Darren's dad. We haven't talked about such things. So I'm glad that on the air you were ready to go. Shai writes in regarding the Dallas Cowboys and me no longer being emotionally attached to the Dallas Cowboys. Trust me, it worked. It works. Shai says, sure, Rod, you still got a spot for the Dallas Cowgirls. We're not talking about the Dallas Cowgirls. That's different. We're talking about the football team, not the cheerleading team. That's different. Stay on point. Kevin the Medium writes in. He says, I wish I could just watch a BC Lions game and not be emotionally attached. I just can't do it. Well, it takes some practice. Trust me, it takes some practice. John Ohm says, John Gruden for Cowboys coach. Why are we talking about that? Well, number one, it won't be John Gruden because, Darren, I believe he's still barred from the NFL. So I threw that in the column because I heard the name come up this morning that it might be Gruden. But whoever said it didn't know what they were talking about. He's basically, I don't think he's officially under suspension, but he's still barred from the NFL. And it's one of those things where as long as Roger Goodell's the NFL commissioner, John Gruden ain't coaching in the NFL. As long as Rob Manfred's the commissioner of MLB, Pete Rose ain't getting into Cooperstown. It's amazing the power these guys wield. I guess I should have asked you. It was just before the break. Who do you think will be the next coach? My vote is for Coach Prime. It really is. But you?
Yeah, with the Gruden thing, if he was going to get back into the NFL, Dallas seems like the right spot. They got enough weapons. There's opportunity. And if anybody was going to push Roger Goodell to get him reinstated, you would think it would be Jerry Jones. If Jerry Jones wants John Gruden bad enough, he could find a way to make that happen. I don't know that other owners necessarily could, but Jerry Jones maybe could be the one guy. It could be Bill. If it's in season, I could see it being Bill. But if they wait and they do a full search, I think I'll go with other. There's a really talented offensive coordinator in Detroit that's getting a ton of looks, got a ton of looks last offseason. I think it'll be somebody else, not an established coach.
C. Lightning writes it and says, years ago, the Cowboys were my favorite team. On their defensive line, they had Randy White and Ed Too Tall Jones. That's going back a day or two. Paul in Humboldt writes, and he says, I voted for John Gruden because his ego is as big as Jerry Jones. You don't think Deion Sanders is? You don't think Bill Belichick is? Do you think all these guys? Listen, I'm telling you how much I really enjoy that Mike Florio. I was telling you, I was listening to him this morning for an hour. I went for a really long run. And they had Jason Garrett on last week. And Jason Garrett said, to be successful in the NFL, you have to, he goes, you have to have supreme confidence in yourself. That's not a lot different than ego. Go look up the definition of ego. The definition of ego is your own measure of self-worth. How important do you think you are? That is different than confidence, but not much different. I know that I'm good at what I do, but I don't think I'm better than anybody else. That's the difference with me. You need to know you're good, right? To succeed in life, let alone the National Football League. And I think with Deion Sanders, I don't know him personally, but I'm a Cowboys fan. I wouldn't want to work for the Dallas Cowboys because I've worked for people like Jerry Jones. I have. I couldn't do it. I would not be happy. You know, read the books, man. Troy Aikman's sick of Jerry Jones. I don't even think they have a relationship. They work together. They won 3 Super Bowls together. I just couldn't do it. Like Jason Garrett, it's dehumanizing to work for a guy like that. But Deion Sanders knows the Cowboys' way. And I think he could go in there and I think Deion could do it. I don't think Bill Belichick could do it. He would tell Jerry what I would tell Jerry, what I've told people like that. It ain't going to work. And John Gruden's not even eligible. So Coach Prime seems to be, to me, the guy. Okay, Darren. Hour 2 will be a lot of fun. Smoke him if you got him.
Okay, I'll see you then.
We're going to Montreal next with Ole, 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 Joey Alfieri. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, YouTube, and Facebook today, and in podcast form at Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Into the holiday season with the Stars. Stars on Ice 2024 Holiday Tour with figure skating icon Elvis Stojko, Olympic medalist Caitlin Osmond, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poche, Keegan Messing, Satoko Miyahara, and more. Stars on Ice, coming to Moose Jaw Event Center December 20th. Unwrap your tickets at starsonice.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio, Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Everybody, the Alatero Skincare text line is getting a workout today. Is your skincare starting rotation giving up big hits for wrinkles, age spots, and acne scars? Revitalize your self-care roster with Alatera's all-natural lineup of nourishing products. Alatera.com. Use promo code RP20 for 20% off. I'll get to those comments in a second. Let's bring in this guy, Joey Alfieri and his beautiful complexion in Montreal. See, he's all rested. He had a weekend off. A bye week. Comment ça va, Joey?
I'm living the dream. It's nice to be on with you, and you look younger every time I see you.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's stress-free living, man. I'm sure you can relate because you guys finished first. You've had your feet up for 6 weeks, man. What's the vibe going into the East Final this weekend?
Yeah, it's funny. Like nobody's had their feet up here for 6 weeks, Roddy. Let me tell you, even last week, everybody was here at work. And I'm not just talking about the marketing people or ticket people or corporate sponsor people. I mean, the players were here every day. They were on the field 3 times, full practices. They're preparing for Ottawa and Toronto. So nobody's been taking it easy here. Even I know it's been, they clinched in, I think it was late September. So everyone's kind of pedaled to the metal. I think you saw that in the final regular season game against Winnipeg. I think everyone took it especially seriously, and they played really, really well in that game. So, nobody's taking any time off, including me.
You know, I'll be honest. I say that facetiously, and you know that because that's what winners do. They grind. But it warms my heart to see these stories out of Montreal that say sellout crowd at Molson McGill, Percival Molson McGill, sellout crowd. Like it's just regular now. The bad days just seem to be a memory. And I'm sure you don't think about them much because the good days are definitely back. Am I right?
Yeah, no, the good days are definitely back. A lot of hard work has gone into it on and off the field. And yeah, I think this is going to, assuming this one looks like it's going to sell out, obviously, as well. The East Final, I think this is going to be 4 in a row and 5 out of 10 if you want to count the preseason game. So the preseason game didn't sell out, but I mean, if you want to count the amount of sellouts they had from the beginning of the year to the playoffs, I mean, I believe that's 5 now. So, or they're on their way to 5. But no, things are going well. It's funny, like I had an Alouettes toque on in my condo building in the elevator coming up from the parking lot, and somebody stopped me and asked me on Saturday, "Hey, Alouettes don't play today, right?" And so I'm having conversations on walks. I'm having conversations in the building, and that's just something that never, would have happened before. So more and more people are interested. It's heading in the right direction. Obviously, having excellent leadership has helped here. Ownership has been particularly strong here since Mr. Pelledo took over. So all that stuff, plus the team doing incredibly well, you bring it all together and feels a lot like the early 2000s. I'll tell you that.
That's kind of amazing when you say that, because we follow our teams no matter what. But for everybody else, you got to win. You got to win to engage them. And Montreal clearly is no different. I mean, there's a deep love for the Owls, but people aren't going to buy tickets unless you're winning. So it's here. And let me ask you, before I get into the nuts and bolts, how's Cody Fajardo's Francais coming along? Has he learned any since being there?
He's good. It's funny, like so I came up with this idea where, I write out a phrase on a whiteboard and I go around the locker room and I have the guys read it. It's a phrase or a city in Quebec or just, whatever, something that'll be tricky to say. And they've all, including Cody, they've all participated and they've all gotten better and better as the season went on. But you got to understand, like, Jason Moss put a priority on this from day one. Even though he's not from here, played here very briefly, I think he really got a sense of how important the French language and French culture is, even to Anglo-Quebecers like me. So, every player has to know, non-negotiable, has to know how to say their number in French. And some of them are simple, some of them are a little bit more complex. But Cody and the rest of the gang, I mean, they've taken this very, very seriously, especially since Jason Moss came on board. So they're actually doing really well. I'm not going to say that it's a team full of bilingual players, but it's guys that make a really big effort, and it's really nice to see, and it's appreciated.
Cody A. Set. It ain't that hard. I know they're football players, but I'm like, my God, I hope they can figure that out. So, listen, the storyline for this week's pretty simple to me. It's the Chad Kelly Redemption Tour, and I'll be cheering for you guys, but it sells itself, I think.
Sure. I mean, I'm looking at a bunch of other stuff too. I understand that they're probably going to be upset about the way it went for them last year, and they probably want to come in here and do the same thing to the Alouettes that the Alouettes did to them in the East Final in Toronto last year. But I think I can tell you, I watched these guys practice every single day this year that they were on the field, and I've seen it, at the end of the season as well, and they're taking this very seriously. There's no talk of last year here. There's no talk of repeating even. It's really about going out there and winning the championship this year. So, I know they've played 3 close games this year. I know Toronto's run the ball particularly well against Montreal earlier this year, and when they do that, they've had success. But those were 3 very hard-fought games, and I anticipate it's going to be the same thing. And listen, I wouldn't be opposed to the Chad Kelly Redemption Tour, if you want to call it that, ending on Saturday. I'd be okay with that.
This may be a dumb question, but I'm good at those. Are the Argos Montreal's number 1 rival, or is it somebody else in that division or even in the whole league?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, they've played a lot of playoff games now. I think there's a lot of people that would like to see, myself included, that would like to see the Ottawa-Montreal rivalry develop a little bit more. It's just the teams haven't been good at the same time since the Red Blacks have been back. And now this year, finally, it looked like it was going to be Montreal-Ottawa, and it's not. I would tell you that probably, I think the hardcore Alouette fan probably detested the Tiger Cats most up until recently, but the matchup has been so one-sided lately. And listen, it's not to beat up on Hamilton because it was very one-sided and in Hamilton's favor not too long ago. But so I would tell you by process of elimination, I think there's been some flip-flop. I think it was Hamilton for a long time, but I would tell you now, the Argos they come here, they do a lot of talking. They've won back-to-back years in Montreal when a lot of teams haven't been able to do that. So yeah, I think right now, present day, it's probably Toronto. Yeah.
Well, it does change, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because I'm not in your shoes, but I'm really happy for you, Joey, because I know what you guys went through there with a franchise, and I also know what it feels like to win. Those are good days, so I hope it continues. And let me ask you this about Les Habitants, Bleu Blanc Rouge. I got a lot of friends who are Habs fans. You've got an eye on them, obviously. What's your take on where they're at?
Yeah, look, I know there's a lot of people hitting the panic button. There's a lot of people that are upset with Martin St. Louis, but a lot of those people, Roddy, they wanted this rebuild, and the Canadians are right in the middle of it. I think there's been so much positive that has come out in the way, the players that they've been able to draft and how there's been that influx of talent in the the prospect pool. I know it hasn't always been pretty this season. I think they've given up 6 goals or more in like 4 games already this year, but there's going to be tough nights. But, you can't help but feel, watching the Canadians, even though the results aren't there in the here and now, it's really hard, or you have to be pretty negative to not see that it's headed in the right direction. I think Jeff Gordon, Kent Hughes have done a great job. I think Marty St. Louis has done a really good job too. I know game to game, there's things you can criticize. Why is this guy on the power play? Why is that guy on the power play? Why is this guy on in overtime? Game to game, you can criticize any coach. But I think, big picture, I think there are people that think outside the box. And even though the results probably aren't where most fans want them right now, I think that a lot of people see the big picture and where it's headed. And you can't help but feel positive in that regard, because it feels like they've turned this thing around and it's headed in the right direction as well.
Good analysis. You should be on the radio. You ever thought about that?
That was a past life.
Yeah, I know. For all of us. All right. Joey, good luck this weekend. Thanks for the time, and I'll see you at Grey Cup.
Yeah, that's the plan. Thanks, Roddy. Appreciate all of you guys having me on, and hopefully we can talk again in Vancouver.
You bet, pal. Joey Alfieri, Alouettes reporter from Alouettes.com and all their social media. We got some good comments here from the viewers today, and a sports update coming up, which is a bit of a news update. So stick around. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook today, and also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
From From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to World Championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. It debuts this weekend. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight into your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpedersen.com. A couple of text messages before that news update. Chad in Lethbridge writes in and he says, what are your thoughts on the Jen Botterill-Kevin Bieksa argument on the weekend? Teammates going after the guy that hurt their teammate. I wasn't watching Hockey Night in Canada, bro. I was watching the Ryder game. So number one, I didn't see it. Number two, I've been trying to find the clip on Twitter. It doesn't exist anywhere. Three, I know Jen Botterill. I've done events with her. I think she's awesome. So I'm sure it wasn't that bad. I'm a Jen Botterill fan. And number four, I don't usually watch intermission panels anyways. It's just not what it used to be. Sorry if I disappointed you, but those are my thoughts. Noni in Calgary writes in and she says, hey, morning, Rod and Moose. I was in the stands cheering hard at Mosaic Stadium along with everyone else Saturday. And while it might not have been sold out, it was electric and boisterous, and we fans feel like we made a difference. I know it'll be equally loud in Winnipeg this Saturday, so it'll come down to turnovers in my mind. Go Riders. Yeah, listen, the Bombers are not going to give the game away like the BC Lions did. If they're counting on that, they're mistaken, which the Riders won't, but maybe the fans will be. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, hey, Rod, those Rough Rider third jerseys are terrible. Put them in the dustbin. I'll be honest, I don't mind them at all. Obsidian green, kind of cool. I'd wear it. I'd wear the hats anyways. Saw them all over Alberta this summer, and obviously Saskatchewan too. Uncle Sasko writes in on the 902 line. He says, hey, Rod, I think athletes should all be allowed one major Hulk smash moment. Love Darian Durant's social media F-bomb. That was way back in 2013, which he got fined for. Love Jason Kelsey's BlackBerry smash. Cheers to all your viewers except Bomber fans. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes in. He says, I went 1-5 betting NFL yesterday. Can someone who finds NFL predictable please call me? Look, I want to carry that over next segment. That's a good one, though. Here at my own peril, I'm going to read you a news update. Just because the election stuff's just seeping into my psyche. Canadians will join their American neighbors in watching results pour in Tuesday night for the U.S. election. Will Donald Trump become only the second president elected for a second non-consecutive term? Grover Cleveland for the U.S. history buffs. Or will Vice President Kamala Harris become the first woman to hold the nation's top job? Regardless of who wins, the result will have a significant impact on Canada, as the USA remains Canada's #1 trading partner and closest ally. Both Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Opposition Leader Pierre Poilievre, did I say that right, Clark, will make the case that they're better suited to suited to see having gone too long. Manage this relationship, whomever is in the White House. New data from the Angus Reid Institute finds Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is not seen as the best option to work with Trump this time around. That title falls to Poilievre. 2-5 say Pierre would be the best, compared to 1/4 for Trudeau. That said, Trudeau is seen as better to handle a relationship with Democratic candidate Kamala Harris. Debate at your own peril. Hour 2 coming up after this.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
They had this deal in 2005 when it launched. For $500, you could have a lifetime satellite membership. And I didn't have $500, so I kept paying monthly. I've given them thousands of dollars. I should have paid the $500 at the time.
I'm going to try extra harder tomorrow, knowing how much money you've put into SiriusXM. So we appreciate that as well. Okay, Rod?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
That was Gordy Stellick from NHL Radio, don't you know? Watch your toes. And it drops some names. Welcome to hour 2 of the show. Let's bring in the Moose. Hi, Moose. Nice to be home for a while. Get a change of clothes, and then you're taking off again, eh?
Yeah. You know, when I got in last week, in the weekend, I thought that I was going to be here for a little while. But you know what? I think after this weekend, maybe I'll settle into Southern Ontario for a bit.
For the Mooseaholics, Moose just got back from broadcasting football games right out in Saskatchewan. He's going right back there this weekend to broadcast the Hardy Cup. And so it's hour 2, what we do in hour 1, for those that don't know, after 1,370 shows. In hour 1, we look at last night's games or the weekend, if that's what it is on the Monday. And then in hour 2, we look ahead to tonight's games or ahead to the week. And that's what we're doing here. Tuna Turner is the director today. Tuna Turner, simply the best. Can you hit the quick stick show horn, please? Tuna Turner.
Hot damn.
First show without director Jordan. We're still on the air.
Bingo.
That's a win.
A lot of leftovers today. NHL leftovers, NFL leftovers, CFL leftovers. I'll be honest, the biggest, most juicy story coming out of the weekend of them all was Jason Kelce grabbing a fan's phone in the crowd at Penn State on the ESPN broadcast at College Game Day. And I didn't see the video of it, but smashed it. Like, I really tried to unplug as much as I could on the weekend. I didn't see all the stuff everybody's talking about. You got Kelce smashing somebody's phone. You got Chad and Lethbridge writing in saying, did you see Jen Botterill and Bieksa getting... No, I didn't see them getting after it either, because you know what? Everybody's pissed off. Everybody's fighting. Not for me, bro. It is possible to actually back away for a while and take a break. As a matter of fact, I would encourage you to do that, or else I think you'll lose your ever-picking mind. So... yeah, there's a lot of crap out there. Now, this is my bad. I kicked the hornet's nest near the end of hour 1, Darren, and I read a story about the U.S. election and how it impacts Canada, just to see what the reaction is, and it's predictable. But I want to say 2 things before we do move on to whatever the hell we're doing here today. You've heard me talk about Yvonne, the receptionist here in this office tower where we do the RP show in Boca Raton. I love her. I've told her I love her. I've only known her a month. It's important to tell people things like that. And I've told you that she reminds me of my mom. Her appearance means the world to her, and she loves her sports. And Pittsburgh Penguins, if you noticed, worst team in the NHL as of last week. That's her team. She's from Pittsburgh. Okay? She used to go to the games with her dad. Give you a little bit of an idea about Yvonne. And she was very upset last week. And I just said, what's wrong, Yvonne? And she goes, just the things are being said about my team. It just what's online. She pointed to her computer. And I'm like, well, who's saying that? Fans, media? She's like, I don't know, just really bad thing. And I just bit my lip. I'm not going to lecture her. She didn't ask for it. But it's like, you can't tell who's saying what, where it's coming from anymore. It just makes you feel gross. And then another one is Maddie. She's a fan of the Florida Panthers. And before they were on this 5-game winning streak, they had suffered a bad loss wherever it was, the last loss. I think Spencer Knight was in net for it. And Maddie is writing me going, I don't like what they're saying about the Panthers, Rod. I don't like what they're saying. And just stay out of it is very hard to do. But I did it on the weekend. Do you have a thought on that before I turn our frowns upside down and tell you very positive?
No, I'm ready to turn them upside down, but I said, good for you. Just staying out of it. And even when every fiber in your being is saying, respond, say something, it's driving you nuts. Whew, move on.
Well, it's kind of tough. I mean, it's tough it's impossible to stay up on everything. And it's funny because Carlos in Indianapolis writes in and he says, stick to sports, Rod. And then he gives like a smiley wink. The old 1,370 shows, you people know me by now. And that is, I was just threw that in there to see what the reaction would be. And it's predictable. Oh, and Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in and he says, that cheesehead adds a little more love to your studio, Moose. Looking forward to Turkey Day, USA. And right yes, on. We addressed that Darren lost the bet to Brent. He's a Packers fan. And Darren, are you going to leave that cheesehead up there forever or just one day? Or what's the deal on that? What was the bet?
Well, the bet was, I got to wear something Packers on the air. And you know what? I'll leave it up here for a bit. I think it balances out the set a little bit. It looks not bad. I'm not always in this spot, but I might sit here a little more often. And yeah.
I'm going to
Why not?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you something else, too. Rich in Edmonton writing in, and he said, by the way, we're live on YouTube, live on Facebook today, television, Game Plus, radio, WQEE. We're all over. Rich in Edmonton writes in, he says, nice win by Saskatchewan, but a really weak crowd at Mosaic. Number one, we addressed it last hour, so I would suggest you rewind. I'm not going to address that here. Number two, you're an Elks fan, so mind your business. Stay out of it. Quit throwing crap.
Yes.
I don't even know who this shy guy is. He's not even making sense. But so I'm going to tell you something. So turning it around to a positive. It's in my 10 things column posted to rodpeterson.com today, social media. It dawned on me. Number one, we're going to the Grey Cup with this show. I'm very excited about that. Number two, Grey Cup the CFL season is going to end just in time for the college season to ramp up. And it's too much to keep my mind on, but I'll have the CFL behind me. I could really get into the college thing. And so Friday night, I went to FAU Stadium, Florida Atlantic University. Go up to the press box. They're giving away 250 of these helmets over. This is the Owls helmet. Florida Atlantic University Owls, where
nice.
Chris Carter is the director of player engagement. Nobody really knows in football what that is, but first guy I see in the press box is Danny McManus. And I meant to actually put that in the WhatsApp for Clark, but I'm going to do that now. Clark, check the WhatsApp in a second. I'm going to send you me and Danny Mac. So I told you this on the phone this morning. The Hall of Fame quarterback in the Canadian Football League from Dania Beach, Florida, played at FSU. And we got together here. I'm sending it, Clark, if you wouldn't mind throwing that on the air. Danny Mac. And we talked for about half an hour. And he was like, hey, Rod, so what's going on? You're doing the show down here? I'm like, yeah, we got in that whole thing. And I meant to put that in my 10 Things column, some of what Danny McManus and I talked about. But, okay, he's going to throw that up right now. Thanks, Clark. Nice work, Clark. This is Danny McManus, Hall of Fame quarterback from the Canadian Football League, played in Edmonton, Winnipeg, Hamilton, Calgary. He's a Florida State Seminole great, legend, actually, and he lives here in Venice, Florida. So we probably talked for about half an hour before the game, and I kept saying, Danny, am I taking up your time? Do you mind? Or am I bothering you? And he's like, no, we're good. If you know Danny, that's him. Thanks, Clark. I appreciate you doing that. And I think he's just loving life, Darren, scouting America, but living here and just sending players up to the Bombers. Danny McManus. My dad did that for the Dallas Stars for 26 years. Life's good. Watch hockey, send players down to Dallas. Bob's your uncle. I kind of got the sense that if he was offered a general manager job, he'd probably take it. I think he's interviewed for GM jobs across the Canadian Football League over the years. But if he's not dying to do that, and he gets along really, really, really well with Mike O'Shea. I don't know if they played together in Hamilton or something, but they're really close. And the conversation was largely private between Danny and I don't want to spill that, but he basically said today's player, he's like, I don't know how Mike O'Shea is able to relate to them and get the most out of them, but he does. Danny's like, I don't think I'd be able to. Not now. But for some reason, O'Shea is. And I said, are you going to be going to Grey Cup? And he goes, only if we're in it. And Winnipeg's playing Saskatchewan Saturday with a chance to go to the Grey Cup, a trip to the Grey Cup on the line. But I guess my point is, sitting there, I could actually, Darren, hold a conversation with him about SFU. And if they were going to fire Mike Norville, the head coach of the Seminoles, we talked about their close losses at the start of the year and how the teams lost confidence and how the problem. I couldn't have that conversation a year ago. I didn't know enough. So everything is just kind of pulling into the station, and it's pretty fun. I'm learning, but it takes a while. College football is so bloody immense. When you're trying to stay on top of the NHL, NFL, CFL, college, it's too much. You take a weekend and just tap out. And having said that, I still watch the Rider game and the Panthers and the Stars. And what the hell? Oh, yeah, I was with Brent yesterday in Wellington, Florida. So, anyways, that's the fun thing. That's a fun thing.
Of course it is.
Yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
No, it's good. It's good you got to see Danny Mac. It's, fun because, the more you get out and you get around and you see what's going on, the more you realize that it's a great big world out there with lots to see and do, but it's not that great big and scary It's just like back home, except in a bigger place. Same people, good people, and it's fun. So I loved seeing that photo of you and Danny Mac on the weekend. That was cool.
Thank you. It's 1:11 Eastern. Just throwing it out there, by the way, if you're into numerology. Folks, just envision a positive outcome. Trust me, it works. It's funny Darren says that. I mean, I'm not going to tell. I don't need to tell everybody what my plan is or what I'm doing. Y'all know enough. But, when I went back a couple of weeks ago to speak in Wolseley, I had 3 people come up into my Wolseley, Saskatchewan, tiny little town, 840 people. And I spoke at the banquet there. I had 3 people come up to me and say, how come you don't live here anymore? And I'm like, it's a big old world out there. It's awesome. And I want to see it before I die. And they're all like, good for you. Right? They don't ever want to leave the farm, but they understand that I might like to go out and see what the hell's out there. John Ohm says, do I dare ask Rod if he watched the Joker movie over the weekend? To be honest, I didn't have time, but that is on my bucket list. It's also it was in my commentary on Friday. These CFL games, when I was the voice of a team, the weeks were so damn long. I'm going to give you a little secret, everybody. This ain't too much of a, and Darren gets it because he's calling play-by-play now. These weeks are so long. Like in the regular season, we're reading the game notes. We're unearthing these cool little nuggets and everything just to kind of keep you all engaged. Come playoff time, those game notes don't mean a thing. Just sit there and wait every day for the game on the weekend. But here, like when the Panthers go on the road, I'm going to college football. I'm going to high school football. I'm into a lot of stuff. So it's not as hard playing that waiting game because there's just so much going on. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, good TV show, The Penguin. Yeah, my friend Chris from the Bronx got me into The Penguin. I don't assume you've started watching that, Darren. Have you?
Not yet. It's on my list, though.
Oh. We do a lot of sitting around watching streaming, too, and we love it. We love it. So The Penguin, we were caught up on that. Tulsa King, watched the Red Sox-Yankees series. It's called living, man. It's called living. Spending time with friends, met some new people on Sunday. You can rip all over the continent, too. People are doing that, but that's just not something I want to do anymore. I can sit and watch these games. So, like I said, we're going to look forward to tonight's games, but it's a pretty quiet night. Might be a night for streaming. Monday Night Football game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Kansas City Chiefs, and everybody. It's a 9-point spread. And there are 2 NHL games, Los Angeles Kings at the Nashville Predators and the New Jersey Devils at the Edmonton Oilers. I feel like next segment we'll get a little more into those and play Deal or No Deal. But it was funny because the viewer in Grand Prairie wrote in and said he got killed on his betting this weekend. He's like, if the NFL is predictable, does somebody want to tell me, want to give me a call? That's why it's a lot easier for me to cover the NHL for the South Florida Tribune because I'm not cheering for any teams. I was all in on the Cowboys on Sunday. I wasn't paying attention to anything else. In the NHL, I don't have a team. And Serena laughs at me and mocks at me for that. It's a good thing to not be cheering for anybody. How much were your focus league-wide yesterday versus Titans-Patriots, which your team ended up winning?
Yeah, to be honest, I watched the Titans-Patriots. And, I mean, that's 3.5 hours I'll never get back. But Titans won, too. But you pay attention to the league for sure. And that's one thing about, the Titans not being in any race except for the first overall pick. And who are we going to draft at quarterback? Is it going to be Ward out of Miami or Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado? That's where the attention is. So the games, I'm not really hung up on them. So I'm watching Saquon do the reverse hurdle. I'm watching Kirk Cousins, doing the, what's it? I'm going to sound like such an old, like not hip, the surf and sway. What's it called? With the crowd, the song?
I don't know.
Look it up. It's good. But Kirk Cousins is doing that and beating Dallas and everything's going well. And I watched the game last night. So it is fun following this league. It's a great league. And there's, I was really a league focus yesterday.
Jeff, the Stamps fan says, how about the Arizona Cardinals putting together a nice season? 5-4, leading the NFC West. I heard that this morning. I'm looking that up because I thought the Rams were having a, pretty good season, which they are. But the Cardinals are 1 win ahead of them. And good for you, Jeff, the Stamps fan, for not just following the Stampeders in the CFL. And I know it would get a little depressing with your team that way. So he's broadening his horizons a little bit. It's a big world out there, and it's awesome. Rich in Edmonton says, as a close friend of a CFL broadcaster, I know the season can be a grind for them. Oh, buddy, you have no... And for the people doing it, I'm sure they love it. But here with the Panthers, last year at training camp, I was standing, they invited me to come down, Florida Panthers, and cover training camp session that one day. And I'm standing there with a bunch of kids right out of college holding my microphone, waiting for the coach to come out. And I'm like, I'm over. And that means I can't cover. I'm not standing around all day waiting for these interviews that they don't even want to do. But I told them that, and they're like, okay, we get it. But we give it a shot. We'll be back in a second. We'll talk about tonight's games in the NHL and whatever you all would like to talk about. And we have Mark Stephen coming up, the voice of those mighty horsemen, the Calgary Stampeders. We are live on the Game Plus TV network, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube, and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained, aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, everybody, it's me, the champ, and did you know, as sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback. In the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne, it's never too late to revitalize your skin with Alitura Naturals. Check out their website at alitura.com and use the promo code RP20 for 20% off. Please help us out and support our sponsors. That would be nice. A guy that doesn't need to do that is Moose. He's got the TV skin, he's got the TV hair, and he joins us here. And Moose, I'll be honest, it's in my commentary today, which I did not post to rodpedersen.com, but it is running on Sask Radio right now. I would love to be talking about the very exciting NHL games right now and more, but it's the CFL's time. They're on center stage. I love the league. Everybody knows I love the league. You love the league. Just learned on the weekend that we're going to be going to Grey Cup with this show. And I'm excited about it. I mean, it takes a lot to get me out of South Florida. I want to make this very clear. All those Panthers fans that were up my ass about going, why aren't you going to Finland? Do you know how hard I worked to get to South Florida the last couple of years? I ain't in no rush to leave. But to go for work and the Grey Cup, it's really something that I want to do. So with the Winnipeg Jets at 11-1, and we will talk about this down the line. Maybe I'll post this meme later because Scott Laughlin from SiriusXM NHL Radio, he predicted a Florida-Winnipeg Stanley Cup final last year. And coming out of this weekend, the Panthers have won 5 in a row. The Jets have the best team in the league. Actually, they're 1-2 in the league. Maybe he was a year ahead of time. I could talk about that forever. But it's the CFL's time right now. So, Darren, my point is this. Saskatchewan at Winnipeg this Saturday. My friend Daryl Slade watches this show every day, and he tells me he loves it. Statistician for the Calgary Stampeders, really good guy. He's in the press box every game at McMahon. Always visited with him when I was there. He sent in the stat that the Riders haven't won a West Final in Calgary since 1972. Daryl's not trying to start something. Daryl's a black and white numbers guy. I'm the gray area guy. I'm the one that turns everything into a shit show. As a team, that don't mean anything at all. That doesn't mean the Riders aren't going to go in there and win this Saturday. As a matter of fact, they would probably rally behind that. How do you feel about the 52-year drought, Sask winning at Winnipeg in a West Final?
Yeah, I mean, I said this last hour. I mean, I'd like to know how many times they've actually met in a West Final because I don't think there's that many games over the years. I don't. That's a big part of it. But I think you got to throw that out the window. I don't think it matters. I do think you look at lately, and Winnipeg's had the edge, and that's a big factor. The Riders haven't been back to a Grey Cup, so there's a lot of pressure. I do think that all plays a role. It really does. But I think these are different teams. You got different players. And more for the Riders than the Blue Bombers. They should feel confident. Mike O'Shea's still there. Zach Collaros is the quarterback. They got a lot of great players that have been there. But this isn't Cody Fajardo with the Riders who lost to Winnipeg in the West Final. This is not, Craig Dickinson head coach or go back before that. This is all new people. AJ Ouellette wasn't there. And, Roland Milligan wasn't part of this Riders team. And neither was Trevor Harris or Corey Mace. So all that history doesn't come with them. And I think this is a clean slate.
Fun. Rich
what do you got?
Edmonton writes. Oh, no, just a few things. Rich in Edmonton writes in and says, anyone questioning why Rod went to South Florida has never been to South Florida. Oh, to me, it's the greatest place I've ever been. And I'm comfortable here. I'm happy here. There's so much going on here. I don't care who's questioning it. We can't be everywhere. Like literally. Listen to me. I hope this doesn't turn anybody off, but I'm pretty sure it won't. Kirk in Toronto writes in, he says, "Hey, Rod, surprised you didn't catch any of the East semifinal. I guess you can catch it on YouTube later." You ain't getting it. I got you wondering why I'm not watching the Argo game. I got Panthers fans wondering why I didn't go to Finland. I got this and this and this. How about you just worry about yourself? And then we'll be good. I did have, I had a friend. Sorry, you're nodding your head approvingly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thoughts on that? Any thoughts, or are you just listening? You're just letting me go?
No, I'm enjoying it. You're right. You do you, man. And they got to worry about themselves, and you got to worry about yourself.
Kirk, just worry about you. And we talked about the upcoming East Final last hour, Toronto at Montreal. Just so you know, I can't watch every game, every league, and I damn sure ain't going to go to YouTube and watch the replay of the East semifinal. I'll catch up on the highlights.
But Rod,
my ass.
You're held to a higher standard.
F that. And it's funny because I had a friend. This is, gotta be careful here, because he's probably watching right now. He's an Argo fan who told me that his wife would never set foot in BMO Field as long as Chad Kelly's playing quarterback because of what he was accused of. I get a photo of them together at the game on Saturday. I'm like, okay, nice to see your wife ended the Chad Kelly boycott. People say stuff, they don't mean it. I ain't hanging on to any of it, other than rubbing it in his face a little bit, which he got a kick out of. But you know what I'm saying? They were there at the game. But your wife said she was never going to go. Things change. Okay. Laverne. Hey, Laverne, where's Shirley? Laverne writes in from Swift Current and says it was a very boisterous crowd in Regina on Saturday night. The 50-50 was over $700,000. The winner took home half. And Trevor Harris was like a top-of-the-line tailor threading those needles. Impressive. Yeah, and by the way, if these people have been paying attention, I am back on the Rider bandwagon. I will be pulling for them to win in Winnipeg. Picking them, I'm not sure yet. Probably not. And I don't want to sound like a negative Nelson, as John Frenzy would say. But just so you all know, yeah, it looked great on TV, which, by the way, I spent 3 hours in front of my laptop watching the Western semifinal. I damn sure wasn't going to spend 6 hours, but we've covered that. It was really loud in there. The people are writing in about the lack of ticket sales. I don't care. But they won convincingly with their two-pronged running back system. They haven't used two backs in the backfield like that since Corey Holmes and Kenton Keith. But they haven't won anything yet. You don't even get a pennant for winning the Western semifinal. Bravo for having a home playoff game. That all means a lot. But they haven't won anything yet. And I also don't get the sense that they're celebrating anything yet either. Do you?
No, I don't. No, there's a long way to go. And it doesn't get easier. It gets more difficult. And now you got to go on the road. I don't think they're getting ahead of themselves. I think they're handling it well. And that's important. And it's going to be hostile in Winnipeg. But isn't this exactly what you wanted to get, the rivalry going? You need to play in big, meaningful games. And the more you can play in the playoffs against somebody, the more you're going to build that rivalry back up. And I think there's an opportunity here for another great chapter in the Winnipeg-Saskatchewan rivalry.
It's going to happen. The game's going to be awesome. I'm going to read some of the comments here. Obviously, as you know, there's a lot of Winnipeg people watch this show. We're on channel 1190, Bell MTS cable in Manitoba. C. Lightning writes in and he says, the Winnipeg Jets were my favorite team till they left for Arizona. If they don't start selling out their stadium, their team will move again. Patrolman Pete writes in and he says, people are obsessed with the Winnipeg Jets leaving town. LOL. Don't hold your breath. I'm not bringing that up either. I mean, we're supposed to learn things in life. And what I've learned is I can see what's going on in Winnipeg. I said what I thought last hour, and you all cried for days. Came at me. I don't need that. Whatever. I believe the inevitable will happen, and I'm not going to sit here and hammer away on it, nor be obsessed with it, as the viewer said. Patrolman Pete goes on to say, Hawaii is nicer than Florida, but who can afford it? Haha. Well, you know my friend MyDale Mike, you know him well. He's probably watching right now. He is heading to Hawaii tomorrow. He goes, I'm going to go live like you for a couple of weeks where the weather's nice. He goes, but there's no live sports there. And I'm like, big part of the reason why I'm not there. Like I said to Serena, if you lived in Arkansas or New Mexico, this might not be happening. I love being in an NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA market, man. I should have done it years ago, but hey, better late than never. You must like that in Toronto, too. I'm sure you do. You got all those, except for the NFL. Sorry to hit a nerve. Not yours, but
no
Toronto.
NFL here.
It's pretty cool.
But it is
pretty cool, isn't it?
It's nice being in a market like that where there's multiple options, multiple teams, and you have that all year round, which I think is really fun. Absolutely, I agree.
Jeff, stories popping into my head here. Jeff in Yorkton writes in, he says, Coach Corey Mace said they were going right back up to the film room after the game and not celebrating with their families. That should be elementary, okay? That's what winners do. But I guess I'll try to keep this story. Let's just put it this way. On that staff, the mentality is, because I was told this recently, on that current Corey May staff, we'll rest in December. That's what December's for. We ain't celebrating. We ain't resting now. That's all I'll say. I know more, but I don't want to out the person because you know what? I got so many more people coming to me now telling me stuff. And it's awesome. And they know that I'm not going to relate it on the air. Like I see these guys were writing in here earlier saying 3downnation.com has a list of the top 9 GM candidates for the Edmonton Elkamos. That's awesome. I'm not going to waste my time anymore coming up with those lists because they don't mean anything. And there's probably a good chance whoever they hire as the GM ain't even on that list. So there's guys that are going to do that, and it's a lot of fun to read. It's snack food. It's gas station, convenience store dining. We're fast food here. It's not what I do. I used to do that. A lot of work. I don't want to do that anymore. I'd rather just know and let these guys do the heavy lifting. Moose, I think, real quickly, there's only 2 NHL games tonight. So Kings at Nashville. Who wins tonight?
Kings win tonight.
Wrong. Nashville will. The New Jersey Devils at the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McJesus taking the morning skate today.
Interesting. I'm going to go with New Jersey. Edmonton's been playing a lot of hockey lately.
Perfect, but I'm going to take the Oilers because they're at home. Comments I'll get to after the break. Moose, thanks for this. Have a great Toronto afternoon.
You bet. Later.
Mark Stephen, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders in Calgary sports, really, joins us next here on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook today, also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained, aren't you entertained?
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey everybody, the text line, as you know, is for Alaterra Skincare. As sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback. It's never too late to revitalize your skin with Alaterra Naturals. Janice in Calgary, she's a Stamps fan living in Edmonton. She writes in, she says, looking forward to some great CFL playoff football this weekend. Thinking this weekend will be better than the Grey Cup, unless it's Riders versus Als. Hashtag Stamps fan in YEG. Let's bring in Mark Stephen. Marcus, I get the sense, the longtime voice of the Calgary Stampeders, you guys kind of don't really know what to do with yourselves right now. Am I right on that?
No, I agree totally. Yeah, totally. It was weird this weekend watching, knowing that neither of the games had any impact of the week to come or anything like that. So it was strange. Yeah, it was a little odd. And no West Final, no Grey Cup. So, yeah, it was a little strange. It's not something I hope to get used to, but got to deal with it in 2024.
Well, you know where we're going with this. 18 years in the playoffs. This is the first year out. I'm wondering what the Stamps fan base is, how they're handling all of this and the moves made this week. Because you know Saskatchewan, if you had the worst record of the CFL, it's fire everybody. And they probably would. Mm-hmm. But they're not in Calgary. What's your take on how things went down this week?
Well, first of all, there is a lot of anger and frustration with the team. Make no mistake about that. The two targets are Dave Dickinson and Jake Mayer. Obviously, the organization decided to give Dave a shot to turn things around, another opportunity there. So, and then he had to make some big moves. I mean, they just simply can't run it out. This is not a one-off, a couple of bad things happen. It's consecutive seasons where they're 11, 24, and 1, and they just have to do things differently. I mean, bottom line is they're ninth out of 9, and they've got to find a different way to do it. So once Dave Dickinson's status was clarified, and I'll give them this much, they didn't leave anybody hanging with that. I wasn't surprised. I don't know if I thought the exact moves would happen, but I knew something had to happen, and here we are. They're looking for 2 coordinators.
What is your read on the fact that the Calgary Stampeders don't have a number 1 quarterback? Like, that's never happened.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's going to have to change, and just like their approach is going to have to change. They'll have to have a defined number 1. He isn't on the roster right now, I don't think. So, they're going to have to go out and get someone. They're going to have to do things differently, as in, they've never been the big dog in the free agent pool. Well, that's got to change. They've got to do much more and sort of break their mold to go out there and get one. So, no, it is odd. And, Jake Mayer fell short. I wouldn't completely rule out Jake Mayer returning, but it would certainly be in a vastly different role, that's for sure. But no, the number 1 quarterback thing is going to have to be addressed and get that defined, productive number 1 quarterback. There's obviously, I think we can write up a pretty quick list of who's out there. And they also brought up a PJ Walker from NFL. He came up and was here for 3 weeks and worked out. He seemed to like it, but whether he wants to commit, I don't know. But it's going to be interesting. I'll say this: the busiest place in the CFL this offseason, I predict, will be Calgary.
Remind me to ask you this, because Jeff, the Stamps fan, wants to know who you are hearing as names as defensive coordinator and special teams. But before we do that, I just want to ask about Jake Mayer. And Mark, did they whiff on Jake Mayer? Because, that's who's kidding who? Dave Dickinson, John Huffnagel, they know quarterbacks. So what happened there?
Well, I guess they didn't hit a home run is a better way to describe it, I guess. And that's the difference. He did, you look at his stats, they're reasonable, but it's the inconsistency and the fact they didn't find the end zone enough. So he did some good things, and but having said that, they won 5 games, and that's on him as well as many others in the organization. So that's why I'm not going to completely rule out him coming back, because he did do some things, he did show something, but it's not enough to be a number 1, take charge quarterback. I mean, just look at where the 4 teams remaining are. They've got those take charge quarterbacks, and the Stamps don't have that right now. But Jake Mayer did some things. I would say they didn't hit a home run as opposed to whiff. If he didn't do anything, I would say it was a whiff. He did do some things, but not nearly enough.
Well, there are a lot of coaches out there looking for opportunities. Let's be honest. There's a lot right now. There will be more once the season concludes. So would you be willing to go out on the limb and say what you might be hearing there?
Well, I can say a couple of things. First, on the defensive coordinator, if they look internally, they do have a couple of coaches on the staff. Dwayne Cameron is a defensive back coach who, has a fairly deep resume, particularly in Canadian content. Having said that, if you do name him the defensive coordinator, that would take him away from his Canadian scouting responsibilities. And, all I can tell you is Stamps didn't do a lot successfully this year, but they did nail it with the draft, and that's on him. The other guy that is on the staff right now is Bob Slowick, a veteran coach. He's been, defensive coordinator for 4 NFL teams and for Montreal for a couple of years. So he is a candidate. But outside, I don't have any one of these guys handicapped. I don't even know if they know for sure just yet, because this only happened a handful of days ago. But 2 organizations you have to watch. I mean, is Edmonton going to retain their coaching staff, starting with the head man? And I don't know that. But if they don't, somebody's going to pop free. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure to do something in Vancouver, too. I think Rick Campbell will survive, but he may be under the gun to shake things up. So maybe some other coaches there pop up. I don't know. But it's a little early right now, and nobody's going to say or do much until the Grey Cup is over. As far as special teams coach is concerned, I would be shocked if it's anyone other than Craig Dickinson.
By the way, I appreciate you standing in the batting cage and just fielding these like John and these CFL fans love to talk about it, right? John in Edmonton writes in and says, no, Mark, Edmonton has it busier since they're looking for a general manager, head coach, and half the team are free agents. Would you agree with that?
Well, maybe, but everybody has 30-plus free agents, so I don't put too much stock in that kind of stuff. Yeah, maybe, but once, Edmonton may have their GM and coach in place, too. Let's not forget that. So let's not forget that they may have those guys. There's no hiring process. They just have to wipe the interim tag off of them. So they may not be in the market to look. I understand they're going to interview, and that's fair enough. But gee whiz, I think, based on what they did, given the circumstances, I think the two did a really good job. Had they played at that pace and been in, on the job the full season, it might be the Elks in the playoffs, not the BC Lions.
John in Edmonton, I hope that answers your question. I feel it does. I'm going to morph two questions into one. Janice says, how big of a player turnover is Mark thinking we will see? And Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, what's going on with player personnel? Any changes coming? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Take a swing
well,
at
I
those.
think there'll be a fairly substantial player turnover. Again, they have to do things differently. And, they're going to have to address some of the issues, fortify some other areas. They're going to have to, work on player personnel in terms of bringing in their Americans. They're also going to have to find a way to retain what I call second contract Canadians. They don't have many on the roster. Why are so many free agents departing after their first contract? I don't know. Obviously, nobody keeps all of their free agents. I get it. But it seems to be, a bit of a one-way street, and it's frustrating to watch Toronto, to be blunt about it, when you see the large number of players. Again, you're not going to keep them all. I'm not here, but it seems to be an awful big exodus.
You have a good memory, Mark, and you're far smarter than me, so you remember when the Riders rated you guys 20 years ago, you went into a dip, too. This is twice now. History, right?
Yeah.
The good teams get rated.
Part
That's
of
the way it is.
Dip. Yeah, part of that dip a year ago was unstable and uncommitted ownership, too. We can't forget that. So I don't worry much about the ownership here now today, but that's a big difference. So, but you're right. It's the last time they struggled. 2-3-4. It's like 2002-3-4, yeah.
You can thank Shiv for that. Kirk in Toronto says, could you please ask Mark his predictions for the East-West finals?
The Saskatchewan Roughriders will meet the Toronto Argonauts in the Grey Cup.
How about
both
that?
road teams are going to win. There you are.
A rematch of the 1997 Grey Cup.
Yes, no Doug Flutie around this time, so maybe the Riders can pull it off. But yeah, no, I see it. I really liked what I saw from Toronto. I heard just before I came on, there's a different vibe around Saskatchewan, because one thing the Riders have been known to do is get awful satisfied, awful quick with what they've done through the years. And I like Corey Mace, who's got a thumb on the pulse of it. They've achieved nothing just yet. I mean, celebrate for a few hours after the game, but they really haven't achieved anything yet. They may, but this is the next step. Not, if you came to training camp hoping you're going to squeak out the West semifinal, and celebrate it, then you got a bit of an issue, because that's not why you should be there.
Mark, you've angered them. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says, boo. And John in Edmonton says, what?
No.
Go ahead.
Like the Saskatchewan Roughriders, two-headed monster as the running back combination. They've got a really talented group of receivers. Trevor Harris seems on his game, so that's why I think Saskatchewan is going to go in there and shock the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And John in Edmonton says Calgary can have McLeod, Bethel, Thompson. So there you go. Mark, this has been fun. I could go on.
Eyes might go the other direction. Yeah, I think they may have their eyes on another quarterback there. But anyway, but that's it'll really start to pick up. We can be a lot more definitive once the Grey Cup is over, when people become free, because obviously I'm sure the Stampeders and Edmonton, for that matter, have their eyes on people that are currently under contract and in the playoffs to talk to. You better. I mean, those are the teams in the top four, right?
There is a load of questions in the queue, but we are out of time. Mark, this has been fun. Popular guest. Thanks for coming on. All right. Talk to you soon, my friend.
Yep. Saskatchewan, Toronto. Book it.
Gotcha. Well, write it down. Mark Stephen, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders, joining us. We'll be right back with overtime right after this here on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube, and, of course, Apple Podcast and Spotify.
cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to World Championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained, aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
It is that time of day. Overtime. Hockey teams and fans, have you been to Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary yet to improve your game or just have fun? With state-of-the-art equipment, spacious shooting lanes, and games for all ages, Overtime Hockey Lanes is the perfect destination to build teams. Whether they're from the Calgary area or if you're on a road trip from out of town, book your lanes today, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Office parties, I know a lot of office parties that have gone there. Teams, obviously. Birthday parties. You've run out of ideas for that? Check them out. Look up Randy and Michelle. Tell them the RP show sent you. Boy, a lot of fun, with Mark Stephen, the voice of the Calgary Stampeders. This is the time of year that the CFL is front and center because once Grey Cup is over, we're going to plunge headfirst into NHL and NFL and college football. So I appreciate that they come here to talk because there's not a lot of other people doing it. I've noticed. Oh, man, the comments have really come in. I was trying to keep up, save a few of them. Calgary Stadium questions. You guys got to move on from that. They're not getting a stadium. There's a lot of things that I'm getting tired of hearing. B. Henderson is in Winnipeg and writes in, had a lot to say. Said Chad Kelly folds under pressure. Here it is. He's going to do the same versus the Alouettes blitz. David, number 1 in Winnipeg, writes in. He says, great show today, Rod, to kick off the week. Look forward to tomorrow. Who are the guests tomorrow, Clark? He gone. Alan May and Jersey Jim. So big hockey day tomorrow. John in Edmonton writes in and says, I'm going to the Oilers game tonight, but I know some of my friends and family and other Oilers fans don't have Amazon Prime and are upset that it's not on any TV channel that they pay for. Signed, John from Edmonton. I guess you weren't watching earlier when I said, just worry about yourself, John. I was directing that to somebody else, but I'm directing it to you right now. Just worry about you. You're going to the game, so don't worry about the others. Don't take on their energy. Well, I don't need to tell you in the sports update who's playing in the NHL because there are only 2 games, and that's one. John in Edmonton's going. He's got it covered for us. In the NFL, the 2-time defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs will be aiming to make it 8 wins in a row tonight when they host the 4-4 Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the lone game on tonight's schedule. The Chiefs are favored by 9. And I'll take the deal. They're rolling. The struggling Las Vegas Raiders in the NFL fired offensive coordinator Luke Getsy as part of an offensive coaching staff shakeup last night. The club also announced it let go quarterbacks coach Rich Scangarello and offensive line coach James Craig. I should mention the New Orleans Saints fired head coach Dennis Allen this morning. That was in the throes of a 7-game losing streak. So heads are starting to roll in the National Football League, and they've been rolling for a while in the CFL. Like we said, the coaches in Calgary, 3 of them were let go on the weekend. Yeah, the New Orleans Saints fired coach Dennis Allen today, a day after a loss extended the Saints' losing streak to 7 games, its longest since 1999. Dennis Allen, all-time 18-25 since taking over from Sean Payton. Should they be better? I don't know. I guess because that's why they fired him. Shai writes in and says, Rod's show is the best entertainment of the day. I agree. Thank you. Toronto Blue Jays outfielder Dalton Varsho has won a Gold Glove Award for the first time. The 28-year-old was named an American League Gold Glove winner for his superb play in the center field area. Other American League outfielders snagging the honor were Stephen Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians and Wheeler Abreu of the Boston Red Sox. By the way, go back and watch that Netflix series, The Comeback, on Netflix. We watched, it's about the Red Sox and Yankees, 03-04, ALCS. You forget how great Derek Jeter was at shortstop, just like covering the one whole half of the inning. Jeter's unbelievable. You forget that stuff. That's why those shows are so great. Sports Update brought to you by Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian-owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. They've got it all. Use promo code RPShow for 15% off now. Check us out at SeatGiant.ca. Big thank you to Joey Alfieri, Mark Stephen. A big CFL day. Nice work, Clark. Lining it up. Big NHL day tomorrow. Take care, everybody. And, we'll see you tomorrow.
McFly, hello?